always head to the check to get that check. Hold up. Yo, I'm gonna play y'all something I seen on the internet that seemed interesting. It might seem interesting to you too. Facts. Check it out. Yeah. Check it out, son. Facts.
Because I'm like, I don't want to sing old church hymns. Like, I don't want to just be, I'm in the row. But that was just my ignorance and just, yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, not funny, but how God is so amazing in that you said, okay, God, when I'm ready. But he doesn't work like that. You tell us about when he was ready and you were ready because he came to you. Or maybe he didn't actually come to you. Just tell us about that experience now.
So I had actually, I guess that would be like a two-part. So the very first time when I was working with this producer, we were working on my first album to get me shopped to get a major deal. And we were taking a break from recording this album, and he took me around the studio. And this is someone who's been in the industry, like he's worked with big names. And so he was like, hey, so you know that if you were to sell your soul to the devil, you can have instant fame tomorrow. And
Wait,
when
who said that?
I really don't want to say his name.
Oh, but it was
a producer I was working with. Yes, a music producer I was working with.
He actually said those words.
He actually said those words. And he took me away from like my team. So he had me by myself. So it was like a whole lot happened in that moment. Like discernment happened in that moment for me that I never really experienced before. It was almost like he made a mistake in his career and he was using me to try to get to where he really wanted to be. But he didn't want to sell his soul. So he's like, but if you sell your soul, we can go high. And it was like, in that moment, I received all this knowledge and a huge, just, what I can explain was like something fell on me. And I fell to the ground where I could not stand. And I started weeping and crying out to the Lord saying, forgive me, because I wasn't living right. And so when he said that, it was almost like, what have I done? How deep am I in this disobedience place? Mm-hmm. So I fell on the floor and I started, just crying out and saying, Lord, forgive me. I don't want to do anything without you. Like, the true nature of who I am. Like I wanted him to forgive me. And after that whole thing, I look up and the man was sitting on the, it's like he fell, I guess, because he was sitting weird and his head was down as I was praying and crying out to God in front of this man. I did not care because the conviction behind his words really hit me. And so after that, I kind of ignored it. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So let me just try to alter certain things. Let me make sure to not show too much skin, or let me make sure to not say curse words. I was trying to like fine tune this, still pursuing my dreams, but in a way that was still honorable, but yet not really fully committed.
Got it.
I realized you can't, side note, you can't halfway your walk with the Lord. It's either all or nothing.
Yeah.
But I would say about a year later, I was further along. I didn't have that deal with Universal Republic then, and I did it at the following year. So now I had the record label deal. I had a different manager, like a really big manager, meeting with huge people. I was just almost like, yo, this is it. It's just literally one yes. And I was going to be the next, you name it. Like that's how close it was. And it was like I didn't realize that the Lord was keeping the doors closed for a reason. But I was on my way. I had a trip planned. Sorry, let me slow down because I'm just recalling everything. But I had a trip planned to Amsterdam.
Yo, shout out to CC, Sarah Gata, whatever. Shout out to her. She got a few hit songs. I peeped them out. That's a fact. Yo, her story is crazy. Her story, you just seen it. I ain't gotta say no more. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? You're a fact.
I was dating this
You're
guy. Like, I just
freaking
was not
fat,
living right. Just
and
ignoring
you're
the
a
Lord,
dumbass.
ignoring the unction of the Holy Spirit. And I had all these things planned. I mean, so many things were planned. Concerts were planned. I think I clubbed a lot, so I'm sure I went to the club that night. But I was in New York and I was staying at my manager's place, which was a little 400 square foot studio. So I'm laying in the bed with her. I shared her bed because couldn't afford a hotel at that time. But I don't even want to say a dream anymore. It was definitely a vision or an out of body experience, because I felt more alive and more alert than I do right now talking to you. Like, I felt my soul felt everything. It's like my fingertips could breathe. Like, I was so alert, and it looked like I was in space, and it was almost like I could hear. I don't know how to explain it. I could hear the vibrations of things. I don't know if it were beings or, because I was clearly not in the presence of God. I was in the presence of the enemy. I didn't tell you that yet, but I was not in the presence of God. But It looked like I was in space. And beneath me was, in my mind, it was the earth. It looked like the earth, but it wasn't in the shape of like your traditional globe. It looked like a pool. And I could see the stars, and in the very far back, I saw like this. It looked like the sun, but it wasn't. It was just like a distant lake of fire. It looked like that, and I remember thinking, "Oh, am I in the spirit realm?" And then this being approaches me, and he's all silhouette because he's not illuminated. He's just dark. And as he's approaching me, he's huge. Like, he's bigger than the earth. He's bigger than that lake of fire area. And he's approaching me. And as he's approaching me, I said to him in my ignorance, "Lord," because I didn't know if he was God. I didn't know if he was an angel. I knew he was someone powerful. I didn't know who he was. And he said to me, "No, you know who this is." But when he spoke, it wasn't audible words. I felt the words. It felt like bass, like vibration. When his words hit my soul, I would vibrate like zzz. He said, "No, you know who this is." And the moment he said that, I knew it was Satan, because I was not living right. I knew I was constantly turning my back against God because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I knew this. I was full blown, well aware of my sin, and I was saying yes to my sin and no to God. So I was like, "Oh no, did I just die? Am I going to hell?" Because I knew I wasn't in my body. Even in my ignorant mind, I knew I was in the spirit somewhere. And so as he said, "You know who this is?" I'm like, no. I immediately became covered and just overwhelmed with fear, and started saying, "No, Jesus, please forgive me. Forgive me for lying. Forgive me for cheating. Forgive me for ignoring you." I'm just going through the whole list of things that I knew I was doing wrong. And he
were genuinely scared.
I was genuinely scared. I literally thought I was going to hell. I thought for sure, the fear that I felt, the sensation of being separated from God hit me the moment he said, "You know who this is," because there's just a knowing that you have. I can't even really explain it. You know when you're
This felt so real to you. This was so real to you. This is
more real than me waking up every day and being a mom and being a loving. It's more real. It was more real. And as I'm going through the list of "Lord, forgive me," he told me to shut up, because it was like he had something to say. He was like, "If you worship me, I." And he named some guy, because I really wanted to be married. I really wanted a healthy relationship. He named a guy. He said, "I'll give you fame. I'll give you success. I'll make you the world's biggest star." And when he's saying these things, the earth became like one of those future balls that like witches use or like psychics use to show your fortune. It was doing that. It was showing me things as he was saying them. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, "No, I'm the daughter of Christ. No." And it's like in that moment, the moment he started saying, "If you worship me," I'm like, "Oh, I have a choice to make." And I chose the Lord in that moment, like for real. And he said, after I said, "No, I'm the daughter of Christ," he called me the B word. Never forget it.
Wow.
Word. And I flung for lack of a better word, I flung back and I woke up with a gasp, like, I just snorted right now. And my heart was racing so fast. Even waking up, that felt less alive than I did in that moment. In the spirit realm.
Wow.
In the spirit.
Facts. So you could go check that interview out. You know what I'm saying? You could go check that interview out for yourself. Facts.